welcome back to another episode of the Jordenspeaks podcast. Thank you guys for coming back. This is the second episode of this season. And thank you. If you haven't checked out episode 1 yet, not to worry, because it is everywhere. So you can check it out on my YouTube page, and you can check out the snippets as well of episode 1 on my TikTok and my Instagram page. All of my socials. The thing is, this is wild. I'm even going to plug my socials before I even explain about this podcast. My socials are at Jordenspeaks everywhere. Nice and simple. So there's no excuse for you not to check out the previous episodes, and there's no excuse for you not to follow me. I need you to follow me so that you know what's going on. You know when a new episode's going to drop. You get to be part of the discussions, because people are discussing with maybe last week's episode was a little bit controversial because people are really commenting. But be part of the conversation, be part of the community. And who is it that you hear and you see speaking to you? My name is Jordan. This podcast is just about what's gone on during the week. I will share my thoughts, my feelings with you. I might have a little rant and rave about what's been happening. I'll ask you guys some questions. And then I like to end the episode with a little bit of Jordan Speaks advice, because and this is where it gets into a bit about who I am. So over my career, I've worked with hundreds of families, going through difficult situations, going through all sorts of difficulties, and I have seen it all. And having had all these experiences, I am now a life coach for women who want to live their best lives. They are just ready to enjoy the life that they have been given. If that sounds like you, definitely follow me and become part of the community. Check there's a link in my bio to sign up and subscribe to my newsletter and everything, so that you can be part of a community of other women who just want to live, just ready to live their lives. And this podcast isn't just for women, but hang around, stick around. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I mean, what else can I do? What else can I possibly do? Right? That's a bit about me. That's a bit about the podcast. Those are all my socials that I've plugged. I think that's everything for now. So let's jump into this week's episode. You should know by now that I love to kick off every episode with a Am I the Arsehole scenario, because Reddit is my favorite place. Am I the Arsehole scenarios give me life. So let's jump into this week's one. And you'll know that I'm not able to go through these scenarios without even commenting. So sorry, I apologize in advance. But I just can't help it. The scenarios are just too interesting, but this is a short one this week. So, yeah. Okay, let's go. Am I the asshole for leaving the family dinner at a restaurant because they didn't save me a seat? No. No, do you know what? Let's get into it, because we've all been there. We've all been at a family event or a birthday or some friend gathering, and there's just no space for you, and it's deflating. It's deflating. So I think I kind of understand where this person's coming from, but let's see. So they say, we have a yearly dinner at a very fancy restaurant for my aunt and uncle's birthdays. The aunt and uncle are twins. The table is a 10 top, 4 on each side and 2 on the end. I am admittedly running 5 minutes late finding a parking spot, but when I get there, I finally find my family. Okay. There's only one problem. There's no seats available. I look over and see my cousin's kid, who's 4, who I assume wasn't supposed to be there. My family greeted me and is asking me to pull up a chair, but there is none. The place is literally packed. Plus, there's not a lot of room already at the table, because the table's full. They've said that there's 10 people already, and there's this 4-year-old. I don't know, maybe it's meant to be an adult's dinner, but there's a 4-year-old who's also at the table. Okay. I told my aunt I tried to go find a chair and literally just left. Just left. Throughout the dinner, I just texted them happy birthday and said that I didn't know what to do and left. I think they were pretty upset with me. Now there's an edit. After talking to my parents, no one was mad, just wondering where I went. I think they understood. The child in question was not supposed to be there. It's your typical adult dinner. The place was very crowded, like families waiting in the lobby to be seated. And in this type of place that you call, and it's this type of place you call when in advance to make a reservation. I felt like if I took a chair, it would be unfairly taking away another family's chair, which wasn't right. Do you know what? You're not the asshole. It sounds to me like the whole scenario is quite stressful. It sounds to me like you've turned up to a restaurant which is already heaving. It's crowded. There's a lot of people all over the place. You've been searching for parking, so you're 5 minutes late. We all know how being late can also be stressful. You finally find your family out of the crowd of the hustle and bustle of this fancy restaurant. You get there and there's not even a chair to sit on. I want to go home too. I want to go home and I'm not even there, but I would want to be at home. I'd want to jump in my car where it's quiet, where I'm safe, and I want to go home where there's no hustle and bustle and where there is a chair for me. You are not the asshole. You are not. And it also sounds like, I mean, you know, I love children. They're great. But it also sounds like this 4-year-old was not supposed to be there. And the 4-year-old has taken up a seat at this table. So actually, there could have been some consideration about, oh, should we get the child I don't know, can 4-year-olds sit in baby seats? Probably not. But can we get this child like a little chair on the side of the table? Can we figure something out here? Because we've got 10 people and there's a space because, you know, I think this is a woman. I don't know. In my mind, it's a she, but she's coming. She must be almost here. Can we sort something out? The fact that hasn't been taken into consideration is also another factor as to why I'm leaving. I am leaving because no, like it's silly, isn't it? And then having to go and find a chair from another table, it's just embarrassing. So now you're walking around the restaurant, this fancy restaurant where people are queuing to get into, and you're like, oh, sorry, can I, is anyone sitting there? Can I borrow a chair? Like, no, it's not that sort of restaurant. It's not that sort of place. You are not the asshole. And I also wonder, as I read this, and I'm going to go and have a look in the comments as well to see what other people think. This scenario is only 3 hours old, so I'm sure the comments will be coming in thick and fast. But I also wonder if this person has a bit of anxiety. I think just the whole situation itself, like the restaurant being busy, the driving, the finding the parking, the what else did they say, which made me think, oh, maybe there's like some anxiety here. Yeah, finally finding the family. It feels like everything feels very heightened to this person. And if you are somebody that does struggle with anxiety, situations like this can just feel like overwhelming and way too much. Even if you're someone who doesn't suffer with anxiety, situations like this feel overwhelming and feel too much. The comments right now. Oh, someone says you are the asshole. I feel like I'm losing my mind reading these comments. From one introvert to another, pull yourself together. Sometimes you have to deal with unexpected situations. That's just life. I mean, fair, but also sometimes you don't have to deal with unexpected situations. Sometimes you can just take yourself out of it. Other people are saying, as a serious introvert, I can wholeheartedly understand why you left. But you're the asshole because there were so many things to do other than lie and leave. Oh no. Someone said asshole might not be the right word, but neither is introvert. It sounds like crippling social anxiety, and that's what I've picked up on, that it's just become too much. I don't think they're the asshole. I don't. You've even texted and apologized and said, you know what, like I left. I've gone home. It would have been different if you just went home in silence and no one heard from you. But next year, at your twin aunt and uncle's birthday, there hopefully will be more consideration that you're coming and that there'll be a seat available for you. You, in my opinion, are not the asshole. So this week's episode is going to be called We Are Not Settling Down, We Are Settling Up. Whoa, what a word. And I wish I could say I came up with it myself, but I can't say that because I didn't. And I have to give people their credit. So I was listening to the HC podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts, hosted by Chucky Online and also hosted by Poet. And I believe it was Poet that said it. I can't even remember what they were talking about, what the scenario was or what the issue was. But it was in one of their most recent episodes at the end of 2023. And it's Poet who said, like, guys, we're not settling down, we're settling up. And I had to stop what I was doing. Like, I literally stopped. I think I was like cooking or something. I stopped what I was doing and made a note. I said, that is a bar and that is a word. We are not settling down, we are settling up. And I feel like that phrase applies to so much. So let me just go through that and let us explore that phrase. I think the first thing we can think about when we think about settling up is relationships. And I think it's interesting that we talk about the term settling down when we are referring to relationships. So let's explore this phrase, settling down, settling up. Let's explore it because it's just interesting when a phrase that is so commonly used is dissected in a way. Like, it's so interesting to me. So let's explore this. So I obviously took to Google, and a definition I got was settling up and settling down are phrases that can have more than one meaning. Cool. To settle up can mean to improve, but it can also mean to pay up so you can move on. Settling down can refer to a relationship becoming more stable, but it can also mean that the relationship is losing its spark. And I thought that was interesting because I was like, when we talk about settling down, there's this like kind of negative connotation. Like, settling down means you're slowing down. It almost sounds a bit restrictive. It almost sounds as if you're losing out on something, you're settling down, or like you've had to make a choice. And I wonder if, because we know that on the socials, there's always a discussion about relationships. There's always a discussion about who should be doing what. There's always a discussion about how difficult relationships are and someone's cheating and someone's doing this and so on. And I wonder if, because there's this idea that we settle down into relationships, something is being taken away from you, which is also why we're struggling. I think we are a society that are struggling with relationships right now, with romantic relationships, with friendships, with family dynamics. I think we are struggling with that. And I just wonder if the idea of settling down is also impacting how our relationships are formed and what we think about our relationships and what connotations we give to our relationships. That's something that I think we have to explore. And then in contrast or in opposition, the idea of what it is to be settling up. And so to settle up can mean to improve, but it can also mean to pay up so you can move on. Seems to be a bit more exciting, a bit more dynamic. So you're settling up, you're moving on to something that's exciting. You're paying up to see what's happening next. Settling up can also be like settling up a bill. So you're concluding something, you're finishing something to move on to something next, which feels like it's exciting. So if we thought about ourselves as settling up into a relationship or settling up into different aspects of our life, wouldn't that feel more exciting? Like how much power can a phrase really give to a situation? But I think the idea of settling up versus settling down really suggests that there's a lot of power that a phrase can give to a situation. I loved when Poet said this, I stopped in my tracks because I was like, just a simple reframe of a phrase can change everything. So now as I go through life, if I think about the idea of, well, do you know what? I want to settle up. I want to settle up in life. I want to settle up in a relationship. I want to settle up in my career. That changes everything. That feels more exciting. It feels like these are the things I want. It doesn't feel like I'm going to be bogged down into a relationship or bogged down into a career or bogged down into whatever the next stage is. If it feels like there's something on the horizon, we're settling up, there's something around the corner that we're settling this, and we're going to go and see that feels exciting. Whereas the idea of settling down almost feels like I would have to restrict something, or I wouldn't be able to do something, or I wouldn't be as excited about it, or it wouldn't be as dynamic. So I will be changing my phrasing from now on. Let me know what you think about that, because maybe I'm just rambling and ranting, and I do that. So I can absolutely hold myself to account about that. But let me know if you think that changing a simple word from settling down to settling up changes the connotations of your thoughts and feeling about relationships, whether that's a relationship with a partner, whether that's a relationship with a career, whether it's a relationship, any sort of relationship. Does that phrasing change things for you? Because I think it really does change it for me. And I think as I go through 2024, I'm going to be thinking a lot more about settling up rather than settling down. So that's it from me, folks. That's going to be it for today's episode. Quite a short one, actually. A short topic, a short am I the asshole? But as I said, I like to leave you guys with a bit of advice to tackle this coming week, because I'm sure there's going to be things that go on this week, and my advice will be guided by Poet and the HC podcast. This week, guys, I want you to settle up. I want you to settle up. I want you to take this phrasing, think about the changes that are coming in your life. I think 2024, by the way, is about to be a big year. Huge. And maybe not in the way that you think, but it's going to be a big year. I know that like my astrology girlies are talking. Like I do not get astrology. I really wish I did understand it more, but I don't get the ins and outs. I don't. One day I will, but for now I don't. But I've heard the chatter that, I don't know, Mercury is no longer in retrograde. I don't know. But I'm hearing that 2024 is about to be a big year for people. So think this week about settling up. What can you settle up into? What needs to be settled up? Change some phrases, simple phrases that you usually use in your life, and see if that has any sort of positive impact on your day, on your thinking, on your outcomes. And let me know how that goes for you. Guys, if you enjoyed this week's episode, follow me on all my socials, which is at Jordenspeaks. You guys already know, DM me. You can also follow me. You can subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. The usual stuff. You guys really know what you need to do. Oh, and my other thing, if you have any dilemmas that you want me to discuss, because, as much as I do love Am I the Asshole, I'm also up for discussing other dilemmas that you guys may have. I will keep you anonymous, of course, but drop me an email at itsmejordan@gmail.com. Again, my email is in my bio. And I will anonymously discuss and give you some advice if that's what you are up for. But yeah, guys, go and be great. From your favorite podcaster, from your favorite coach, Jordan. Take care. Bye.